So overall, I was not wowed by this panel. And usually there's a couple good ones out of the enterprise. I went in really wanting to like it. You know, I
really liked
Which did
actually
you like?
ThriftDB. That was probably my favorite out of all the ones. I thought it was sort of interesting. It seems like they are using their search and database technology, and I loved the breakdown that they showed of like TechCrunch's data and writers, and you know, for any startup, you know, having a high-powered search online is a tough thing to build, and you know, if this company can sort of solve that problem, I think that it could do well.
Yeah, the judges seem to be very skeptical of who would actually be spending money for this, but that was kind of one of the only ones where I actually did see a big market opportunity. To me, it doesn't go necessarily even to a company like TechCrunch. It goes to like the Yola customer, someone who's just built their first website, and this is the next step on top of that to make
that's a great
efficient.
Yeah, that's a great idea. You know, someone. You know, those sort of deals, I'm sure, could be very interesting for ThriftDB. And it would, you know, the other interesting thing is that they're open sourcing their technology, which, you know, is sort of admirable.
And there's a lot of opportunities for channel distribution here. I mean, the same way a lot of small business software gets sort of resold through Google or through Intuit or a lot of these other channels. So, you know, yeah, I think that was probably my favorite as well. CC Loop, you know, I liked in a sense that it was doing it through email. It wasn't asking you to do something new, but you know, I didn't get in the demo what this was doing that's not being done already.
Right. I mean, there have been some companies who've like already tried to sort of solve the email overload, and especially with CC, like there was CC Betty, you know, that is no longer, I think, operational. But you know, the idea of like sharing and connecting all these presentations and email threads, I'm just not sure if there's a market for that. And one of the judges brought it up. A lot of companies won't want their employees to share outside of the company.
You know, I mean, we see so many companies trying to take away the email burdens. It's obviously not a solved problem. And so I'm all for someone kind of continuing to try to solve something that hasn't been solved. But you know, I think something as simple as Yammer does a clearer, easier job, frankly. And I think even like, and then something, if you want something more complex, I think something like Asana is like, this kind of seems to fall somewhere in the middle, and it's a noisy space, and I don't know, I wasn't wowed by it.
Well, speaking of noisy spaces, ThinkFuse launched, and they're sort of a social enterprisey status update type of app. What do you think of that, considering you've covered the enterprise for a long time now?
Well, I mean, I think the problem with ThinkFuse is what CC Loop actually gets, and that's that people in business hate to adopt new software. They hate adopting new internal software programs. And you know, the judges didn't seem to like it. Again, I mean, it kind of still falls into that problem of you're trying to solve this fuzzy collaboration status report, and kind of it's almost like constructing a new meeting. Status reports are something people hate, and you got to do it so well that people give it a shot. I kind of think they're going to have this CRM problem, of, you know, people don't want to jump in.
To me, it just seemed like they weren't doing anything that someone like a Jive or Yammer, you know, or Social Text has already sort of tried to do and have customers, and it didn't really seem like they were doing anything very different. So,
speaking of jumping in, while we talk about Fortuit, MG Siegler, our long-lost reporter, is going to come in and get mic'd and tell us a bit about his experience. So MG, come on in, and we'll talk about Fortuit. So Fortuit, you know, again, this was one. I would say this was the least impressive, but Lumiere was awful. Fortuit, you know, you're doing a CRM app on top of the Salesforce's App Store. That's not a business to me.
Yeah, I was surprised. I thought that they would come out with an actual application that you could use, and maybe they do, but it was sort of lost in the pitch. So I wasn't.
Maybe we all need sugar or something. I don't know. I wanted to love so many things out of this panel, but I didn't.
We just want to hear about it.
Speaking of things that people love, you love volcanoes.
I do.
Because it kept you from your conference duties. Tell people who haven't been following in a nutshell where the hell you've been.
So I was in Iceland for, since Thursday, well actually Friday we got there, traveling overnight, for a bachelor party. and I was supposed to come back Sunday night so I could be
It
here
was
Monday
Tom
morning.
Conrad of Pandora's bachelor party, just to embarrass
It
him.
was. I'm not supposed to reveal any details that are an NDA right now, but I was supposed to come back Sunday night and to be here Monday morning to cover, the event. And all of a sudden, the largest volcano in Iceland decided to have its biggest eruption in 120 years or something. So all flights canceled, and we actually did get out obviously yesterday. And we were one of like a handful of flights that got out, and now it's shut down again. So we were pretty lucky to get out of there when we did. But it was a nightmare. When we took off, I was supposed to have a direct flight, obviously, to New York, and that's a pretty easy flight. It's pretty close. But instead, we had to fly all the way around this ash cloud. So we had to go the opposite direction and go all the way, and then we had to land in Canada to refuel. So like what was a 5-hour flight turned into a 9-hour flight, and we got in at like 5 in the morning. It's great.
Wow.
I noticed you're a little hoarse. Is that from like all the partying, or is that from maybe some of this ash?
I think it's both, actually. I mean, I lost my voice kind of early on, but then, it's just like, there's all this gunk in my
We're showing some of the
now.
pictures on your post. So you guys, I mean, you're with all these type A, entrepreneurs and investors in Iceland,
Right.
and you're all stranded. Did anyone think, well, just let's buy a plane? I mean, like, what were some of the solutions being had?
One, there was definitely, the plane option was tossed around a lot, but that seemed like it was kind of just impossible no matter what kind, like, what were we going to get, a B-52 bomber or something and fly through the
Right,
thing?
because they're not letting you up.
Right.
Yeah.
Freighter was the best one. We seriously looked into, I don't know if I should reveal this, but Josh Felser decided he was going to reach out to one of his contacts and see if he could get a freighter. He knows a guy,
Like a
shipping
ship.
guy. Yes, a freighter, and we were going to try and take it like to Newfoundland or something, or Nova Scotia, and try and go from there.
What happened with that plan?
Well, from what I heard, the guy got back and said, like, you don't want to do that with them. And it's not fun to be on that thing. And, we're in the middle of whatever it is, the North Sea or something, and it's like really bad waves, really choppy and stuff. It would have been a really bad trip. But it wasn't all bad because, so when I was stranded there after the first day, so I was there, all Monday, I kind of made a joke in my post about the TechCrunch Erupt conference. And a bunch of entrepreneurs in Iceland got together and actually did throw a TechCrunch Erupt conference, which all of us went to. And so there were like, 50 or so different entrepreneurs in Iceland who are all in this area.
Were there better demos than we just saw in the previous panel?
There were no demos officially, but they were streaming this conference live on the wall.
Oh, nice.
Everyone was drinking. They had some like hand beam things where they could do tricks on there.
We should get the drinking here. I mean, not you, but
Not me, but everyone else.
during the panels, I think that would be pretty
So,
good.
what did you think of the? Are we being too harsh? Did you like any of the companies in the enterprise section?
I don't know. I mean, enterprise isn't really my thing, so I wasn't,
The enterprise is my thing.
did you watch?
That's
Lumiere?
ridiculous.
What'd you think about that?
Yeah, I'm just like, I was like, oh, this is not going to be good. I don't know.
What's this
Let's see.
T-shirt?
Oh,
What is that?
yes, we should get this. It's pretty sweet.
Don't fuck with Iceland. We
may not have cash,
but we've got
the
ash.
Yeah.
Did you guys get that made?
No, they had this printed the next day after the volcano burst.
Wow.
So,
So it was a good bachelor party overall.
yes.
Now, do you feel like if you're ever engaged, that your bachelor party also must have a natural disaster and it must be big? It must be bigger.
Right, we're talking about how could this possibly be topped? I mean, this is go to the moon or something. There's not really much you can do.
Okay, so was there anything that you were really bummed you missed of the schedule?
What was going on Monday? I mean, I watched the beginning part of it. It seemed like a lot of the talks early on Monday were really good.
Some great ones.
So I was watching that from a hotel bar there right before I went to TechCrunch Erupt. And I mean, I would have loved to have seen those in person. I think I was supposed to technically be covering many of those. So
Was there
Well, good
really a
job, guys.
volcano? Were you really in Iceland? Was this all an excuse to get out of 2 days of work?
maybe. A lot of drinking happened. So
Have we learned a lesson about getting in town the night before a conference starts?
I know, and everyone said like, oh, that is, I mean, even if I'd been on time, I would have been like, probably still hungover from the night before or whatever, and it just would have been like, that's probably not the best idea in the world. But
So
I
you're
mean,
not
Tom,
gonna- if
I
you were-
can't dictate when Tom's like gonna have a bachelor party. That's when he wanted to have it.
All right, before we wrap up, we did not talk about Invoice, which was sort of the
Oh,
last
yes.
minute addition.
Yeah.
My question, mobile invoicing, do we need this? I'm unclear that it's a.
Yeah, that was one of the judges' questions too.
Yeah.
I think he said, you know, in the same way that you know, do we need mobile payments? Like that kind of answered that question. Obviously, that's a big thing now. So he's thinking, well, maybe this will be a big thing.
When
too.
I would say, you know, outside of the United States, yes, absolutely, you need mobile payments because it's being constructed a new ecosystem. People don't have computers. There are, you know, very hardcore needs for that. There's a lot of unbanked people in the United States.
Right.
I'm not sure that invoices have the same.
Right. I mean, I think that if you're creating a platform entirely on mobile invoicing, it seems like maybe there should also be a web and a mobile. You know, I wasn't able to really get that much. You know, I wasn't able to sit in on this one the way that I sat in on Lumiere. But
I know, too bad.
But it seems like it should be paired with a web component if you're going to do invoicing. I mean, that just doesn't.
Wait, can we go back to Lumiere for a second?
Yeah.
So, like, I get what they're doing. Like, I saw Jason, he
Really?
posted on it already. No, I mean, I get that, like, they're trying to put a nicer skin on Windows. I mean, that's the idea. He didn't have everything ready to demo or whatever. But, like, I don't know. I mean, he made it look exactly like OS 10. Why not just use OS 10? Like,
But did you see that animation he did 3 times?
yes.
What'd you think about that? Oh,
Yeah.
10 doesn't have
Like
that.
Paul, I wanted to see it again a few more times. It was really good.
Okay, so we have one more.
Well, do
one
you
more
have any
group to get
favorites?
through.
Actually, do you have any favorites
of
like
the whole
what
thing?
we've seen?
I mean, to
yeah.
me, it is coming down to Bill Guard versus Get Around.
Yeah, I think so.
I
agree.
mean, those two.
So yeah, I missed those.
Those two
were
have
the,
been heads and shoulders above. You know, I
Yeah.
think usually on staff, everyone kind of has their own favorite. And there's a
Right.
lot of arguing.
There is.
You know, I think Mike really liked Sonar. I think they've to me
Yeah,
they've
Sonar-
fallen away a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, they had something interesting, definitely for sure. But
They were the best one of that
Yeah.
panel for sure. But to me, I mean, Bill Guard and Get Around have. There's been something about those presentations that captivated the audience. They're
Absolutely.
solving a clear problem. They've thought through the business implications. You know, great demos, excited. You know, you saw tweets from people we know very well in Silicon Valley saying, wow, I wish I'd invested in this company. And like when we're bringing a company
Do
to
both
the
of them already
stage-
have investments then?
they do.
They do,
Yeah.
they do. And when we're bringing a company to the stage that well-known investors are watching back in Silicon Valley and saying, wow, I wish I, like, that's what TechCrunch
Yeah,
Disrupt
totally.
is all about.
Absolutely.
So I think it's a battle between those two.
I
Coming
agree.
up, we have some interesting ones because I got a chance to see some of the ones that are coming up on the next panel. I won't give too much away right now, but there's one involving butts.
But
B-U-T-T-S.
Well, we heard about proctology.
No,
earlier.
well,
I
yeah.
wasn't sure why he had to make
Yeah,
three
I-
Right,
references
they
to
kept
it.
bringing that up. He wanted to really explain it in like a way that
Would
judges
gross us
could
out as
understand.
much as possible.
Right.
I have a feeling that I'm going to hate Me Porter just because I hate gamification and
I didn't
distribution
cover
of
that
local
one. I
news.
don't know about that one. Yeah.
But maybe it'll change my mind.
Yeah.
In general, disrupting streams and collaborations is about the worst name for a panel I've ever heard.
Yes. Yes.